special guest who actually one of the founders of PMP, Project Management Professional, the standard that we live by and many values that it represents. So I would like to give the microphone to Lee.
Okay, first of all, when I was asked to attend tonight, I had no idea this was happening. So let me say, I'll sit down here because I might fall otherwise. Let me say this: I've already been impressed. I've only been here half an hour, and what I hear that you've done, what you're in the process of doing, is impressive. Now, I've been in the PMI world for 45 years. We didn't have this much done in the time that you've had, that's for darn sure. And the seriousness within which you discussed it is quite amazing and actually quite accurate. I wish I could have said that speech sometime along the way of when I might have earned an award. I think I got a couple somewhere along the way. I liked you kind of caught yourself at the end, and I think you knew this. It's not about the award. It's about what we do that is awarded for what we did. Is that correct? Okay. I thought you were going down, let's just do it for the award path, but then you caught it at the end. I appreciate that. I think my theory is if the team and the individuals do what's right by the standards that we've set, the byproduct of that may well be an award, recognition. But I think at the end of the day, what I found is that the award's not as important to the team as the synergy that is built around the team. And, you know, it's nice to get an award, don't get me wrong. Everybody would like to have one. But at the end of the day, if I go home thinking, gosh, what a team this was, give me another project just like this. And I've been on some projects like that. I worked a project in Indianapolis, Indiana, where we worked 14 hours a day, 7 days a week for 18 months to save a company. And at the end, well, along the way, I did videotapes of interviews with people on the team. At the end of the day, we replayed those interviews. I still replay them. This is like 30 years ago. I get a little nostalgic. Every one of those interviews, people that are working those kinds of hours said they'd do it again in a heartbeat. If you could give me the opportunity to do what we did on that project, we'd do it again in a heartbeat. We had all kinds of new friendships. We had 9 babies born during that time, and so that made me question what was going on at night. But the fact of the matter was, that's how long that project went on, and people dedicated their lives. We had to involve families to make sure that they understood, hey, this is why mom and dad aren't ever home. And it began to be a family affair. And that's what happens with projects. We become families. That's why I'm here. This is all I do is I go around and speak to chapters. I think the advantages that we have as a group of people is that we're all from the same family. And we all know that what we need to do to accomplish things. So I think this was a breath of fresh air to hear the work that you've put into recognizing people and teams that do the work, but on the other hand, you understand why that's there in the first place. We have national awards. I have the honor of having submitted the most nominations for PMI Fellow. All but one won, so I have the nomination record. I got 2 more in this year. And I'll tell you what, if they didn't win, I was going to be upset because I knew they were the best. Well, so was every other one that was up there. How you win there's a lot of variables. You covered some of them quite nicely. There's a lot of variables that go into awards, and the right people don't always win them. But as long as they feel good about their contribution, I think we've satisfied the real responsibility.
Well, some people say that 80% of success is showing up, right? So being there is already is a good exercise.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think what you have to understand is we had this problem with our group in the beginning. When you're working 14 hours a day, the first thing you start is that 14 hours of productivity, or is that 14 hours of FaceTime? Well, in the beginning, it was FaceTime. There's no question about it. till the excitement grabbed these people to say, look what we could accomplish. The project was a blood glucose monitoring system for diabetics. I'm diabetic. I used my meter. I became diabetic while I was working there. I thought about a lawsuit, but I guess I left it. They say that you can't catch it. It's still the Roche Labs. It was Boehringer Mannheim from Mannheim, Germany, owned the company. Roche Labs secured that company for $11 billion. $1 billion company, $11 billion. I still get Christmas cards from the Mannheim area for what we did for them. So it took that kind of an effort to save that company, and eventually led to this acquisition by Roche. So you don't know what's going to come from your efforts. You know if it was successful, but you don't know what's downstream. You don't know how many lives you'll touch. And so I think that the benefit of project management is the togetherness. I hear you have 800 people tomorrow. I love it. That's a big family. And that's a family that I enjoy being around. I really do.
More than a family, we are quite a close community, and everybody knows everyone a little bit. And that gives us a tremendous power because we do peer reviews after all. Frank will be talking about that. Right, Frank?
Yeah.
So being judged by your family is quite a tough thing, right? So you still need to be, it's quite stressing to write. Maybe our audience, if you have questions for Lee, because he's here only for a few days and it's a unique chance, or Emilia or Martin, so that you can also have the microphone, then we can have a little rest before we go into the startups with them. Anyone has questions, maybe for Lee?
Where are you based? In US?
Columbus, Ohio. I was there a few months ago.
But you were flying in from Bahamas, I think.
I'm going to the Bahamas after this.
After,
Yeah, I came from Africa to here. Yeah, it's all the same, right? No, you've been to the Bahamas, obviously.
Fancy?
Wow, Lee, thank you for sharing so many amazing stories. You said you've been doing this for 4 decades.
45 years PMI, 55 years altogether.
Can you give us like some summarizations of each decade and maybe how technology has changed the last two?
Oh, we are here for
I know it's
hours.
one sentence, if you can just wrap it up for us.
I'm not. Well, you'll learn tomorrow a little bit about that. But you got to remember, when I started with project management, we used an abacus for all of our math problems, and so we've grown a long ways. And I'll be happy to walk you through that a little bit tomorrow. I do want to give you a challenge. At the Las Vegas National Convention, I had 373 selfies requested. 373, it was funny. And so my challenge to you tomorrow is to beat that, okay? Beat that. Now, because I keep them all as their memories. I mean, that's what they're for. And you might see yourself on LinkedIn. I have a habit of posting things on LinkedIn too. So tomorrow, think about that. Or tonight, whatever you want. But I need to get more than 373. So you've got 800 people, right? So no problem.
Actually, socializing is a very important thing, and Lee has already reached the LinkedIn limit, so he cannot have any more people. But Vancy also has maybe things to teach to us, because I think the next 40 years belong to you, Vancy. He won the Young Professional Award, so... Yes. Any other questions? Please.
I would like to ask, what is your opinion about the change in the project management community in those all years? Because that's also...
Say that again. I'm not sure I understood the question.
What has changed in the community?
In the community, project management community. I'm also from the PMI leadership, and that's why I'm in.
Oh, okay. Well, the project community is my life. In fact, there's a big push this year to not move away from project management profession, but move more towards the idea that it's a community, that it's going to be for everybody. We welcome people in whether they have the PMP or not. I mean, the PMP, I'd like you to have it, no doubt about that. But it's not really relevant as long as you practice good project management concepts, as long as you're doing what project managers do best. I personally don't let any of the PMI people hear. You didn't hear this. I don't think it matters if you have a PMP. That's become sort of a regular way to say how good you are. It's not how good you are, it's what kind of test taker you are. What we want are test takers who also, by the way, know how to manage projects. And that's where my focus has been, always has been in my teaching career, is, don't get so overwhelmed by the PMP. Focus on doing projects right and learning correctly. And then if you have to sit for the PMP, you will. You'll pass the PMP. I was talking to someone this morning, nervous. They're nervous. I just came from Africa. All kinds of people have prepared to take the exam. All kinds of people aren't taking it because they're afraid to fail. Well, I got to tell you, about 13% of the people that take it fail the first time. So there's nothing embarrassing about fail. I didn't. I had inside track, but I didn't. I still had to take the test. I took it when it was 8 body of knowledge areas, and it took 8 hours to take. I sat in Altamont, Florida, with a group of AT&T employees. I finished the 8-hour test in 3 hours and 10 minutes, and got 100% on the exam. So I know that there's things that you can do. And if you believe that 100% thing, you're on drugs. Because they don't tell you what score you got. Anybody that took it said, well, this guy's lying up there. They don't tell you. When I saw pass, that's 100% in my mind. So when you push that button and it says pass, it's 100%. And I'm proud of you.